clearly they want you to see it if they're giving it these accolades. It has 11 Academy Awards, which is insane. It's a terrible movie. It has random outbursts of singing. It's like a musical, but it's also supposed to have a deep message about marginalization. It's literally probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, and if you watch it, it's going to be the worst movie you've ever seen in your life, which says a lot. You know, we did just cover the JoJo Siwa movie, which was pretty bad. I think
the Oscars was once the most anticipated event of the year.
Yeah, no better way to signal that point by having Ellen walk out of a building. No reason to not watch this show when Ellen's the one involved.
Ellen just being Ellen.
And equal rights for women in the United States of America.
A superstar selfie gone wild.
You guys remember this selfie that took over the internet with like what was this, like 10 celebrities? No one would care about this nowadays. This would be looked at and it was like, oh, okay, all right, next. This is like a finger swipe nowadays. This was everywhere. Everyone thought this was the coolest shit like 10 years ago. Like all the moms were like, oh my god, all the screen people, they're uniting. Wow, that's fucking pathetic, man. I really wanted to hammer that point home. Like imagine all those people that we saw in 2020 worshiping Dream on TikTok that had like cardboard cutouts of his profile picture in their room. Like your parents were doing the equivalent of that level of worship to these people. You know, like this photo was their stand material.
And I have that enviable job of getting close to one of them.
People from around the world tune in to see their favorite movie stars, musicians, and celebrities all in the same spot. Just as excited as you to see their favorite movies go head to head for the Golden Man.
I'm in shock. And I'm so in love with my brother right now.
I cry a lot.
I think I missed that part. I don't know what that's about, but hey man, weird relationship behavior in celebrities. Shocking, right? I mean, probably a bit, but if one of them got up on the stage and said something worse, like, yeah, me, I got a weird relationship with my son. I got a weird relationship with the boy next door who sells me cookies. Like, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
But in recent years, trashing the Oscars has become as much of a tradition as the show itself.
Total viewership was down 16% from last year's affair.
Ratings dipping to an all-time low, an estimated 23.6 million.
The second year in a row, the Oscars went hostless last night.
Things are getting unstable, and it seems like a lot of people agree that each change is just
what the fuck? When did Amy Schumer do this? Spider-Man costume? And she's what? Maybe I should watch the Oscars if they're doing stupid shit like this. People talk about humiliation rituals. I mean, this has to be one, right? Surely they're like, yeah, we'll give you another $100 million Netflix deal to tell jokes that nobody wants to hear, let alone laugh at, if you decide to make yourself the court jester for like 30 seconds.
What am I doing here?
You know, you don't have to take this job. I'm your guy.
This year's Oscars ceremony was filled with historic firsts, with diversity taking center stage. But the Academy Awards was not spared from dwindling ratings after its viewership plunged to a new record low.
They say they're planning on turning things around this year, but between studios playing dirtier,
spoiler alert, they didn't. This year was the year that Emilia Perez won 11 Oscars. So when that lady was foreshadowing about how diversity and stuff was like the first for whatever year she was referring to, well, it only got more and more diverse every single year. And what that actually means is not like, yeah, there's more characters in movies of different ethnicities and backgrounds, and the quality of the movie itself does not change in any particular direction because of that. It stays relatively the same, so therefore it's a net positive because these marginalized groups are being shown in a more positive light with like these good movies. No, it actually results in like these dumpster fires where you have a bunch of random shit crammed into a timeline and a plot for no reason at all, just to appease these shadow people that are saying that this is what they want, this is what, you know, are gonna make the ratings go better or something. They don't. It just sucks. Everyone fucking hates it. Everyone's tired of it, and I don't know. I mean, the reality is, I don't know if they really ever cared about what the people have to say. Diary of a Wimpy Kid never won an Oscar. Chipmunks never won an Oscar. It's kind of weird seeing those things and thinking that they care about what people have to say. It's not a democracy. But shit, man, they'll fucking throw an award at like whatever nowadays, and it's getting a little silly, you know?
And celebrities no longer caring.
It makes me angry that people care.
It's easy to see why.
Well, Ricky Gervais had a very good rant when he was on stage at one of the Oscars, and he said like Jennifer Lawrence was complaining about equal pay for women, and he said something along the lines of like, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, you know, she's really voicing this very marginalized lifestyle she's experiencing, making $40 million a year. It's so fucking hard. He was on the money with that joke, so it is funny to see these fucking pandering peons talk about struggles they have no connection with at all.
People are skeptical.
It really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
But lucky for them, this is far from their first time facing imminent destruction. It's 1929. Hollywood is like the Wild West, unorganized and scary. Workers want more money, studios want to pay less of it, and commercialism is overshadowing artistry. Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM, knows the movie industry is going to take over the world.
This guy, I think if we just want to get his picture up here, really, yeah, just look at this guy. Take this all in, because this guy is probably part of the reason why this country has been set to a hellish flame in record speed. So this guy basically has decided to ruin everything all the time, all at once, and, you know, he does it in this nice looking suit, so I guess style points, but fuck this guy, and fuck like everything he's done. We'll get into it, but remember, this guy's the bad guy. He also kind of looks like Gru, so if you want to steal the moon, I'm down, you know, hit me up, I'll clear my schedule.
Knows the movie industry is going to take over the world, but also realizes that first they need to clean things up a little bit. So after getting enough support, he creates the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The Academy is successful in its mission for the most part, and not long after, they hold their first annual banquet, which Louis decides to turn into an award show. Why? Well, he says, quote, "I found the best way to handle filmmakers was to hang medals all over them. If I got them cups and awards, they'd, themselves to produce what I wanted. That's why the Academy Award was created." But for everyone else, it serves as a good excuse to get people together, celebrate good movies, and honor those who went above and beyond. They give out 12 awards, and the ceremony only lasts 15 minutes. Nevertheless, it serves as a picturesque, humble beginning. Fast forward, it's the 1950s. Hollywood is now synonymous with mainstream culture, not just in America, but all over the world. So it's a big deal when in 1953, the Academy finally gives the public a way to partake in their biggest night via television broadcast technology. This once intimate 15-minute long ceremony now becomes a feature-length spectacle, with 30 million plus people now watching, judging, and critiquing. And while this does result in some genuinely special moments, giving proper recognition to people who were once just names on a screen, it also gives way to movie stars becoming public figures.
Well, nowadays all it is brainwashed slop audience members and people who cast votes on this stuff patting on the back to the brainwashed slop actors and producers for the movies. So it's just like a circle jerk, and whoever, I guess, like strokes the fastest ends up getting the best award. So we're at a point now where the actual audience is basically gonna approve of what's being put out there, because what's being put out there is only made for the audience that's gonna vote on it. It's like kind of like an infinite loop, infinite award producing cycle glitch, because how does a shit movie get 11 Academy Awards for different categories that had different people voting on them? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's what I just said. It's brainwashing. I don't know. It's so obvious and it's so shameless that it makes you really scratch your head and think, like, they must be trying to kill this for a reason. They must be trying to tank the credibility of the Oscars so that this guy's brother, the MGM guy, one of his, deformed long-lost cousins, is gonna start, an Oscars competitor that takes off because the Oscars has gotten so bad, and because it's not shit, it makes a shitload of money, and then this guy sends, half the money to his cousin because he killed his own business.
These people that were once just known for being fictional characters are now real people with real thoughts and opinions.
15 years, now I know how the Republicans felt when they got there.
And the Academy Awards becomes a platform to set them free.
Good evening, Hollywood phonies.
And I think this was in part due to our director, Fred Zinnemann, that in the last few weeks you've stood firm and you have refused to be intimidated by the threats of Zionist hoodlums.
We live in a time where we have fictitious election results that elects a fictitious president. Shame on you! And anytime you've got the Pope and the Dixie Chicks against you,
it's a recipe for disaster. But compared to what's boiling under the surface, these antics don't even leave a scratch. In the 1990s, one name penetrates all of Hollywood deal-making.
The other guy that we really need to thank, though, is Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, so this guy's also another really good guy. Keep that in mind. I'm not being sarcastic at all. He's a great person, and if you look up his name, ignore all the things that are going to tell you that he's evil. Just don't look at those. Don't read them. And if you're reading them, just read them while you're listening to music, so you're not really thinking about what you're reading. The words, they're going to be some big words, some words that you read, and you're like, well, that kind of sticks out. Maybe I should double check what I'm reading here. Don't look at any of that, okay? He's a good-looking guy. Dan Schneider as well, same sort of thing. If you're reading into Dan Schneider, make sure you ignore all the bad things. Or, sorry, I didn't mean bad things. Ignore all the misinformation. This guy's a great person because, look at him. Does he seem like he's bad? He wouldn't know how to fly. Look at this guy. He's a stand-up person.
Congratulate
the Mashbuka Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Thank you, Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, who believed in us and made this movie.
Sometimes I call him Jennifer. It's a pet name.
But he quickly makes himself infamous as someone not willing to respect boundaries, someone who will do anything it takes to get his way.
Thank you for killing whoever you had to kill to get me up here today.
He turns the Oscars into a fierce battleground, where you only play fair if you want to lose.
He hired Israeli spies to follow you and other reporters around.
You only play fair if you want to lose. Bingo. There's no point in playing a game that you already know is rigged. And there's certainly no point in playing a game that's rigged and thinking that you're going to beat the rigged odds. It's not happening. Or if you know you're going to play it, you better accept the loss going into it. You know, I'm sure a lot of people, they like to play it because it's a nice little chance to rub shoulders with other pedophiles. Like, that's probably fun. You know, they all go get ice cream afterward and retreat to their, like, dungeon where they keep the children shackled up. That's fine. Like, you know, chill. You know, normal Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Any day of the week that ends with day, that's kind of what they're doing. So I get it, but it's true. It's rigged. It's been rigged. If you can't see that, then you're probably fucking blind. I don't know.
Same.
Sure, everyone wants to win an Oscar, but up to this point, no one was playing quite as dirty as Harvey Weinstein. And in 1999, this all culminates in a moment that changes the Oscars forever. Every year, the viewership and public reception is largely based on the nominees for Best Picture, and this year everyone's favorite contender is Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan. It's a culture-changing global phenomena, with box office numbers to match.
So that's actually a great movie, and this is the sort of thing, to me it's very similar to what happens on Rotten Tomatoes, where if you look at a movie you enjoyed, there's a pretty good chance that the tomato meter, which is like the kind of like paid shills that give certain movies with certain agendas good ratings, and other movies with agendas they disagree with, they give them bad ratings. But if you go to the audience score, which is democratized, and it's people who have watched the movie giving their thoughts on what they've seen to direct people maybe interested in watching it, you'll actually see a pretty accurate reflection of how good the movie is.
Most affected by the scenes of D-Day are men who were actually on the scene.
The most realistic war movie I ever saw. People were being blown apart.
And would you look at that? A Best Picture nomination. They made it to the championship. Let's be honest, these other guys don't even stand a chance. Especially with Shakespeare in Love? It's a romantic comedy.
Meet young Will Shakespeare.
And the Oscar goes to... Shakespeare in Love.
Everyone's caught by surprise when the award goes to John Madden's Shakespeare in Love.
He's out of luck until she came into his world.
A romantic comedy.
Shakespeare in Love.
And fingers immediately point to its producer. He tricked everybody.
I don't know, we made this movie. This is a movie.
In the months leading up to the awards, Harvey did everything in his power to sway the vote. Blackmail, bribing, spreading bad narratives about other movies, even throwing lavish parties and inviting all the Academy members. At one point, people were even urging Steven Spielberg to use some of the same tactics, but he didn't want to stoop to Harvey's level. I'll do promotions, but I'm not going to try to charm people and send them things so they vote for my movie. One of Harvey's colleagues describes his method of campaigning as hand-to-hand combat in the form of screenings, parties, and non-stop publicity. He calls the clients directly and guilts them. He really is a beast. And it turns out, just like the one in the Disney movie, he has a lot to hide.
How's it flirt with you?
Data's so hot.
It is hot. Right. You gotta live with it. It's okay.
Eventually, all of it comes to light, but that doesn't matter. The damage is already done.
I mean, the thing with cancel culture, especially when it comes to people that aren't really celebrities, they're more like behind the scenes, string pulling puppet master types like Harvey. All you had to get done got done already. Like, you already got your way in like every single realm, so you're fine. You know, you get canceled, people don't like you. Well, it doesn't really matter if they don't like you. You got all the shit done that you had to get done, so sheesh. That's the unfortunate reality of it, you know? In a lot of the cases, the people who need to be punished the most either get punished and it doesn't really affect them. It's a slap on the wrist sort of thing. Or if they do get punished and it actually does matter, well, it kind of doesn't, because all the shit that they did already took place.
Victory in 1999 is proof that with the right mix of strategy, money, and manipulation, you can win an Oscar. Now everyone has the secret formula, and it doesn't take long for this to have a noticeable effect. As the new millennium arrives, the ceremony's less about celebrating movies and more about getting awards for the sake of it. In fact, there's so many awards that the length of the show becomes an issue.
3 hours, tell me why.
To be fair, if you can run a 3-hour program to a bunch of people that haven't been fried by TikTok brain and their attention spans are not completely cooked, I'd do it. I mean, the ad money is insane. You got to imagine those are one of the nights like the Super Bowl where they're just going to collect. Every 5 minutes you're being inundated with new movie trailers because they're talking about movies. I mean, it makes perfect sense from a marketing standpoint. But yeah, you know, 3 hours for this sort of stuff is just complete slop. And you can try to convince yourself that you're watching it because you have like a sophisticated artistic palette and stuff, you know, an acquired taste when it comes to movies, and you're really trying trying to dissect what was done right with all the movies that was picked. But you're lying to yourself, you know? This is like the kind of people that watch Anthony Fantano review music, and they want to like care and pretend to care what he has to say. Like, yes, the percussion was excellent, the background melody was great, but all they do at the end of the day, they can't stop themselves from scrolling to the end of the video and seeing what the literal number he gives the album. Like, no one can help it. And the proof is that YouTube now gives you these little humps where you can see the most replayed. Go to any one of his videos, you'll see the most replayed is the exact end. People don't have the patience for that.
Are calling Oscar bait movies. Studios usually pick these scripts for their Oscar-winning qualities. I'll bet you've seen more than a few movies like this.
Oscar bait checks off all the boxes. Racial tension.
Can I help you with your groceries?
Haven't you done enough, Whitey?
We all get there together, we don't get there at all.
Latent homosexuality.
Thanks for shopping with us. Here's your change.
If you like films where a character is forced to overcome a rare disease, then this, my friends, is your film.
I have balloon foot. What? If it pops, I die.
Yeah, so we're at a point where this whole Oscar bait trend was like memed upon because it was still niche, and it was like, oh, you know, like we're kind of aware of it, it's the elephant in the room, but it hasn't gotten to a level where it's like so ingrained in the thing where making fun of it would be tearing down the entire deck of cards that is our industry. Now that would be what's happening, so it doesn't happen. I mean, it does happen, but it's done by like YouTube critics, like the Critical Drinker.
While everybody else was aging, I was getting younger, all alone.
Why is he going home with me?
A lot of people claim this is why the Oscars start to ruin movies as a whole. Not because these types of movies are bad in any way, but because they pressure movie makers into worrying about checking off boxes, rather than just making a good movie. With the exception of the acting categories, even then to an extent, the Oscars are 100% becoming more critically friendly than audience friendly. But trust isn't the only thing the Academy is losing. In the year 2000, 46 million people tune into the show. But after that, viewership starts to steadily decline. In response,
46 million is pretty crazy in itself. Like, that's a number that you look at and you gotta make sure your eyes are, you know, fully open. 46 million fucking people tune into this. I think this is like purely just cable numbers. I mean, obviously you got the person that has this running while they're making a chicken pot pie. They're not really paying attention. But 46 million people, 46 million TVs, they got this shit rolling. You know, 46 million TVs that could be watching fucking anything else. Or not watching anything. They could be off. I remember growing up, there used to be like this thing called saving electricity. Like if you weren't watching anything on the TV, you would turn it off to save money. Now people let their TVs run no matter what 24/7 for like ambience. I don't know what it is. It's strange. Like they always want to make sure there's some disembodied voice saying something of either zero substance or like a minute amount of substance because they're not even like tuned into it half the time. Just because the silence of their living room would leave them with this sort of void that makes them question their own existence. You know, it's weird.
Maybe if people think their favorite movies stand a fighting chance, they'll be more likely to watch. It turns out that's not the case. If anything, The Dark Knight losing to another so-called Oscar bait movie makes people angrier.
Oh, how they wronged you. Why so serious?
I should say.
Anyway, if you guys want to watch the rest of this movie for yourself and really get into the nitty-gritty as to why the Oscars are so ass, you can do so with the link down below. But I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Take care. Have a great day.